November 2nd, 1755. A child is born in Vienna who will become the most slandered woman in history. Her name is Maria Antonia Josepha Johanna, but the world will know her as Marie Antoinette, and before her short life ends at the guillotine, she will be buried alive under an avalanche of lies, so vicious, so sexually explicit, and so carefully crafted that they will still echo through centuries. This is not a story about what she did. This is a story about what they said she did, and how words can be more deadly than any blade. May 16, 1770. A 14-year-old Austrian princess crosses into France to marry the future King Louis XVI. She is a pawn in a political alliance, a child thrust into the most dangerous court in Europe, and from the moment she arrives, she is already being watched by those who wish her destroyed. The French court despises her Austrian blood. They call her l'Autrichienne, the Austrian woman, a slur that will follow her to the grave. She is young, naive, and utterly unprepared for what awaits her. The Palace of Versailles is not just a home, it is a battlefield where reputations are weapons and rumors are ammunition. Marie Antoinette enters this world with no allies, no understanding of French politics, and no idea that her every movement, every friendship, every mistake will be documented, twisted, and transformed into something monstrous. The trouble begins almost immediately. Her marriage to Louis XVI is not consummated for 7 years, a humiliating fact that becomes public knowledge throughout France. Court physicians examine her. Diplomats write letters about it. The entire nation knows that the future king cannot perform his marital duties, but somehow it is Marie Antoinette who becomes the target of mockery. Pamphlets begin to circulate in Paris, crude drawings and verses suggesting that the young queen seeks satisfaction elsewhere, that she is insatiable, unnatural, a creature of uncontrollable appetites. None of it is true, but truth has never mattered in the world of propaganda. What matters is repetition, distribution, and the willingness of people to believe the worst about those in power. By 1774, Louis XVI becomes king and Marie Antoinette becomes Queen of France at just 19 years old. She is still barely more than a teenager, surrounded by sycophants and manipulators who see her youth as an opportunity. She makes mistakes, certainly. She spends money frivolously on fashion and gambling. She hosts elaborate parties at the Petit Trianon, her private retreat away from the suffocating formality of Versailles. She forms close friendships with both men and women of the court, relationships that are entirely innocent but appear suspicious to those determined to see scandal. And there are many determined to see scandal. Political enemies, rival factions at court, revolutionary agitators in Paris, they all see in Marie Antoinette a perfect target. She is foreign, she is young, she is visible, and she is a woman. In 18th century France, that combination is lethal. The propaganda machine begins its work in earnest around 1780. Anonymous pamphlets flood the streets of Paris, each one more explicit and degrading than the last. They are called libels, and they are distributed by the thousands. Some depict the queen in orgies with multiple partners. Others accuse her of lesbian affairs with her closest friends, particularly the Princess de Lamballe and the Duchesse de Polignac. Still others invent elaborate scenarios of her corrupting the entire court, turning Versailles into a den of debauchery. The language is graphic, deliberately chosen to shock and disgust. The illustrations are pornographic, showing the queen's face on bodies engaged in every conceivable sexual act. This is not mere gossip. This is character assassination as a political weapon, carefully designed to strip away her humanity and make her execution not just acceptable but necessary. What makes these lies so effective is their volume and their persistence. One pamphlet might be dismissed as the ravings of a madman, but hundreds of pamphlets, circulating for years, begin to construct an alternate reality. People who have never met Marie Antoinette, who have never been to Versailles, who have no direct knowledge of her life, become absolutely convinced that they know the truth about her. She becomes not a person, but a symbol, the embodiment of everything wrong with the monarchy, with aristocracy, with France itself. And here is the truly dark part, the part that should make your blood run cold. The people creating these lies know exactly what they are doing. They are not confused or mistaken. They are deliberately destroying a woman's reputation because it serves their political goals, and they do not care what happens to her as long as those goals are achieved. If you've made it this far, you understand that history is not always about what happened. Sometimes it's about what people were made to believe happened. Subscribe to this channel if you want to keep exploring the darkest corners of real history, the places where truth and lies become so tangled that only careful investigation can separate them. Because what happened next to Marie Antoinette is even more horrifying. October 1785. The diamond necklace affair explodes across France, and although Marie Antoinette is completely innocent, the scandal destroys what remains of her reputation. A con artist named Jean de la Motte poses as the Queen's confidant and tricks a cardinal into purchasing an extraordinarily expensive diamond necklace, supposedly on the Queen's behalf. When the scheme unravels, the truth emerges that Marie Antoinette had nothing to do with it, but the public does not care about truth. They believe the Queen is a thief as well as a libertine. The pamphlets intensify, the accusations grow more extreme. Now she is not just immoral, but criminal, not just wasteful, but actively stealing from the French people. The propaganda has achieved something remarkable and terrible. It has made millions of people hate a woman they have never met for things she has never done. By 1789, France is collapsing. Economic crisis, food shortages, and political instability bring the country to the edge of revolution. Marie Antoinette, now 33 years old and a mother of 4, becomes the focus of revolutionary rage. When Parisians march on Versailles in October 1789, they are screaming for her blood specifically. The revolutionaries have absorbed years of propaganda, and they genuinely believe they are confronting a monster. The royal family is forced to move to Paris, essentially becoming prisoners in the Tuileries Palace. Marie Antoinette's life becomes a nightmare of confinement and constant threat. She tries to escape in June 1791, but the flight to Varennes fails, and the family is captured and returned to Paris in disgrace. Any remaining sympathy for the Queen evaporates. She is now seen as a traitor who attempted to abandon France. August 10, 1792. The Tuileries Palace is stormed. The monarchy is effectively ended. Louis XVI is imprisoned, and Marie Antoinette is separated from her husband and children. She is moved to the Conciergerie prison, a cold, damp cell where she will spend her final months. The propaganda continues even here. Pamphlets describe her prison cell as luxurious when it is actually squalid. They accuse her of continuing her debauchery even in captivity, claims so absurd they would be laughable if they were not being used to justify her murder. The revolutionaries are building a case against her, and that case is constructed almost entirely from the lies that have been told about her for 20 years. October 14, 1793. Marie Antoinette is brought to trial before the Revolutionary Tribunal. She has been ill, suffering from hemorrhaging and likely uterine cancer. She is weak. Her hair has turned white, and she looks decades older than her 37 years. The charges against her are monstrous. They accuse her of treason, of conspiring with foreign powers, of depleting the treasury. But the most horrifying charge comes near the end of the trial. Her own son, the 8-year-old Dauphin Louis Charles, has been coached to accuse his mother of sexual abuse and incest. The courtroom falls silent when this charge is read. Even the hardened revolutionaries seem uncomfortable. Marie Antoinette, who has remained composed through most of the trial, finally breaks. She stands and appeals to the mothers in the courtroom, asking if any mother could be capable of such a thing. For a moment, just a moment, the propaganda cracks and the human being underneath is visible. But it is not enough. The verdict is already decided. October 14, 1793. Marie Antoinette is brought to trial before the Revolutionary Tribunal. She has been ill, suffering from hemorrhaging and likely uterine cancer. She is weak. Her hair has turned white, and she looks decades older than her 37 years. The charges against her are monstrous. They accuse her of treason, of conspiring with foreign powers, of depleting the treasury. But the most horrifying charge comes near the end of the trial. Her own son, the 8-year-old Dauphin Louis Charles, has been coached to accuse his mother of sexual abuse and incest. The courtroom falls silent when this charge is read. Even the hardened revolutionaries seem uncomfortable. Marie Antoinette, who has remained composed through most of the trial, finally breaks. She stands and appeals to the mothers in the courtroom, asking if any mother could be capable of such a thing. For a moment, just a moment, the propaganda cracks and the human being underneath is visible. But it is not enough. The verdict is already decided. October 16, 1793. Marie Antoinette is executed by guillotine in the Place de la Révolution. She is dressed in a simple white dress, her hands bound behind her back. As she climbs the scaffold, she accidentally steps on the executioner's foot and apologizes, her final words a demonstration of the manners drilled into her since childhood. The blade falls at 12:15 in the afternoon. She is 37 years old. Her body is thrown into an unmarked grave. The crowd cheers. They believe they have destroyed a monster. They do not realize they have murdered a woman whose greatest crimes were being young, foreign, and female in a time when those things made her the perfect scapegoat for a nation's rage. The propaganda did not end with her death. For decades afterward, the lies about Marie Antoinette continued to spread and solidify into accepted history. It took more than a century for serious historians to begin untangling the truth from the fabrications, to recognize that much of what was written about her was deliberate character assassination rather than factual reporting. Even today, many people know Marie Antoinette primarily through the distorted lens of revolutionary propaganda. They remember the alleged, quote, "let them eat cake," which she never said. They remember stories of excess and debauchery, most of which never happened. The lies have outlived the woman by centuries, which was always the point. Propaganda does not need to be true to be effective. It only needs to be memorable, shocking, and repeated often enough that people stop questioning it. What happened to Marie Antoinette is a warning that echoes across time. It shows us how easily a human being can be transformed into a monster through systematic lies, how gender can be weaponized to destroy a woman's credibility, how political goals can justify any level of cruelty or dishonesty. She was not a saint. She was not even a particularly good queen, but she was a human being, and she deserved better than to be buried under an avalanche of pornographic lies before being murdered by a mob that had been taught to hate her for things she never did. The real horror of Marie Antoinette's story is not what she did. It is what was done to her, and how easily the world believed it. What do you think? In an age of social media and viral misinformation, have we learned anything from what happened to Marie Antoinette? Or are we still destroying people with lies? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.